What's going on? It's June 23rd. We have been doing all of Dustin's friends lately. So today we decided to bring in one of my favorite people. Hey, Dustin, how's it going? Other than you, of course.
All my friends. I have lots of friends. We haven't even scratched the surface of all crazy people I know.
So, yeah, David, we're going to bring David up in a second. We have had we met through a family office event, and David is just kind of like, the more I get to know him, he's like, I feel like I just scratched the surface of what he's doing. I'm like, okay, this guy, he travels like 300 days out of the year. He has another meeting every day with like some important person that, like is all, I have no idea who they are. And it turns out like they're very important. He's involved in, a lot of projects with NASA, health tech. He has a really cool project in Uruguay. So David, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because I can't keep up with everything that you're doing. So give us a rundown about you.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here. And great to meet you, Dustin.
You as well.
So yeah, on my side, I've been kind of a serial entrepreneur for about a decade now, founding and scaling up companies in emerging technologies, emerging markets. My main two projects right now, my big one that I've been working on for years is down in Uruguay, which is just one of the best countries in the world. So basically, we were allocated a large portion of land there from someone who at the time was the governor of the region, but has since then been elected the president of the country. So yeah, really amazing country. Happy to deep dive into why Uruguay is the best. But yeah, it's basically a property that was formerly the largest sugar plantation in South America that they want to revitalize the region. Since it had gone out of business in the late 70s, the government had basically just seen a decline in jobs and opportunities within the region. So they wanted us to come in, bring in international development partners to scale up infrastructure, industry, and bring back jobs and growth to the area. So yeah, it's been my baby for a few years. Love the project, love the country, love the people. So yeah. And then my other main project. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, like, is this like a El Salvadorian thing where you guys are like you got your homie into like the leadership position? You guys are kind of making it like more tech. No. What are we doing here?
Yeah, so Uruguay is a very unique country in South America. It's one of the least corrupt countries in the world. So there is no like, oh, I got my buddy who's the brother of the president to give us some land. Basically, I've been working down there for about 6 years now with just some amazing partners. Andres Israel, the CEO of Pushlo, Rodrigo Ray, an incredible lawyer, and some other people down there that have been, they're native Uruguayan, have been building there their entire lives. And basically that team, along with some other people, were allocated this land. And I'd been working with them on other projects and asked to step in. So they brought me in as the CEO of the project to kind of oversee the capital raising, structuring, international development, kind of bringing in the right partners to help scale it up from greenfield into a fully fledged special economic zone.
All right. So it is a special economic zone.
Yeah, that's where we're headed. We have the opportunity to do up to a full tax-free zone there. So complete exemption from income, corporate, capital gains, import, and export tax for all the businesses in the property.
There's so many opportunities in that realm. I'm like, are you going full like park status? We're doing a bunch of different businesses that can take advantage of the like regulatory and compliance benefits.
Yeah, looking at a balance there. So it's going to be a mix of, data center, looking at up to about 200 megawatt on the high end, solar farm, so everything will be 100% renewable, tapping into the grid for backup power. Uruguay, just as a country, is over 90% renewable. So even our backup power is going to be renewable as well, which is great at really good price per kilowatts to make it feasible to scale up good large scale. And then looking at water infrastructure, we're sitting on top of a pretty incredible aquifer. We have a beautiful man-made lake on the property that we have half of the lakefront for in our initial allocation. And looking at basically increasing water distribution to the capital. Uruguay had an issue a few years ago with not having enough water distribution into Montevideo. So we're looking to address some of that from our property. And then also looking at some more creative things like some electric vehicle manufacturing, battery manufacturing, some housing on the lakefront, some hospitality. And then looking to do a large workforce development center, basically partnered with one of the largest universities in the country, their head of innovations on our board, to basically upskill, reskill all the local population, make sure that they can take all the jobs that we're producing and are well positioned to go into management and leadership from there.
Sounds awesome.
I love it. It's a special place, and I'm just blessed to be part of it.
Easy to get in and out of travel-wise, like local airport close by? What's it look like if I want to go take a peek at what you're building?
Yeah, so the property is about an hour, 10 minutes from the capital. So about an hour flat from the airport because we're a little more towards the airport side of it. So very accessible, easy roads to get out there and everything. Uruguay is pretty far down there. People don't really think of this, but it's as far south as South Africa. So it's way down there. So it's 7 hours down to Panama City, and then 6 hours down from there if you're coming from DC, New York area. So it's a bit of a hike to get there, but once you're there, you don't really want to leave. So you end up staying for a while.
All right, I got an idea. I want to pitch you real quick. You ready for
Please.
this? Staging area to go to Antarctica and breach the ice wall.
Yes, 100%.
Go to Antarctica and do what?
Breach the ice wall.
I don't
We're
even
going
know what that
searching
means.
for some shenanigans.
What is that?
All right, so there's idiotic globe earthers who believe everything the mainstream media tells them. There's equally idiotic flat earthers. And then there's big brained expanded mappers who believe that we're on a roundish planet, but we're confined to the very top of it. And
okay, is that the answer?
And that there's a big ice wall in Antarctica, and if you go beyond it, you've come to Agartha, which is there's more land than we have access to.
Okay, I didn't even know about this theory. I feel out of the loop.
You got to check out Admiral Byrd. Go down the rabbit hole.
Dude,
okay.
You know what's crazy about Admiral Byrd that always blows my mind? You realize he was doing nearly 30-hour flights in the 1930s, 20 years after the Wright brothers. This homeboy Solo was doing multi-day, day-long plus flights to explore Antarctica. In his journals, he talks about finding lush green rainforests under the ice, which is really fascinating. The Antarctica Treaty is basically the only place in the world that everybody agrees that we don't explore. There's no extracting resources. People aren't allowed to go. It's very blocked off, difficult to get to. My friend Eric Hecker believes that that's more military related. He was the whistleblower who worked down there and talks about direct energy weapons. But really, I say this without any this is a true story. It's Godwin's law as far as rules of the internet. Any conspiracy talk will eventually lead to Antarctica. Antarctica is tied to every conspiracy that there is.
Yep.
You agree with that, David?
Oh yeah. Antarctica is a really, really unique place. Look at Operation High Jump. They've been down there with this whole fleet, a bunch of ships, a bunch of planes, came back with all of it beat to crap, almost nothing left, a couple holes and a few junky planes that made it home. But what happened to all that down there is one of my favorite rabbit holes on the conspiracy side. So there's a lot of questions about Antarctica. Ever since then, nobody really went back. It's all been kind of walled off since then. It's one of my big goals to go to the South Pole and really explore.
When he says Operation High Jump, he's talking about, did you know? So I grew up in rural Nevada where almost all the supposed nuclear blasts were tested, hundreds of nuclear detonations. The first, though, high altitude nuclear blast, for some reason, was conducted over Antarctica. right around the same time that we were supposedly going after the Nazi bases there. Now, Antarctica is like the when I say the central hub of every conspiracy, like not joking, pyramids, ancient structures, secret society. There's a Freemason lodge that is Antarctica that was started by Admiral Byrd. So Admiral Byrd was sworn into the Masons right before, I believe, his second or third exploration of Antarctica, and then established a Mason base. And it literally has ties to all of the conspiracy theories. It's amazing. So, I mean, you guys heard it here. We have a commitment. We can use Uruguay as our landing place, and hopefully it goes better for us than who's the weird dude I'd never heard of, but everyone talked about when the 2 helicopters crashed the other day. Oliver Biscuit or something.
If that's his name, I'm just.
No, it's something like that.
Biscuit. Did this happen in Alaska?
No, so some music guy
or in Antarctica. I mean,
he was signed with Atlantic Records. He had a new album coming out that he may have been doing outside. There was 2 helicopters that crashed like in the last week. Turns out he just came from a 300-day exploration of Antarctica and was planning to release a documentary about Beyond the Ice Wall.
Wow. Interesting.
Okay. So can someone answer for me? David, do you agree with Dustin that the Earth is kind of round?
No, but that's okay. I do think there's some really crazy things going on in Antarctica, but I'm not gonna go full ice wall at this point. I do a lot of work with space tech, and that's kind of the other thing I spend a lot of time in. So with all the satellites and things, we have a pretty good picture of kind of the structure of the Earth. But I do think really interesting things under the ice. I think it goes quite deep. I think there's some shenanigans down there. I think there might be some alien bases there, and very open to lots of conspiracies on the Antarctica plain.
You think there'll be some alien bases?
I think there could be.
I was listening to Dr. Crystal, who you work with, and she was talking about how like somebody asked a question. Oh, why are there no reports on aliens? And she's like, oh, there are. There's plenty of reports. And she's just like very kind of open about this. But I think what's really cool about what you guys are doing is like you're doing so much research on like health and how to keep these people safe going to Mars, how to protect yourself from radiation, how to be more sustainable, on another planet. And all of those things are kind of being transferred to like the top health protocols that we should be following here in the US. And even she is like, look, I don't want to go to space because there's been tons of reports people go and they're not healthy. So like there's always going to be a risk with that. But where do you think, like when envisioning the future, and I know you've collected all these like geniuses all over the world and you kind of figure out how to scale their business and get them where they need to go. They have like great ideas, right? But like they're not going to go anywhere if they don't have scalability. Dustin, I'll pull up like a random app on my phone and David's like, oh yeah, my buddy, built that, whatever. What do you think that we're going to be focused on in the future in terms of our health, and then also like, something technology related to technology that maybe we wouldn't be thinking about?
Yeah, great question. So when people think about space tech, they're always thinking about rockets and kind of, what's getting us out there, but there's so many layers to, technology that envelop into space. So our whole fund is built around the 187 critical technology shortfalls, which are technologies that don't exist in the world right now that are needed to build a civilization off planet. So just like you said, 30 to 50 of those are health related. Health is a huge piece of that because, the radiation out there is pretty crazy. So like it's interesting right now. What they're seeing as the best way to actually build a structure on the moon that can protect from radiation, it's basically a combination between a moon bounce and an igloo. It's these huge inflatable structures that basically have this piping through them, and you build ice domes over it. The ice shields you from the radiation. The inflatable, basically structures allow you to build it out in the space that you need to. And you can use ground ice from the pole at the moon and from these shafts to basically fill it up with water, and then use that water to block the radiation, which actually works quite well. With only about a foot of water, you can block just about everything there. So that's interesting kind of on how do you build a structure when it comes to kind of how to protect yourself, monitor what's going on inside of your body, and really understand the modulation as well. We're looking at things like Volabac. Volabac's an awesome company, UK based. They just set up a R&D space in Austin. It's the one, I don't know if you guys saw on Joe Rogan a while back, Palmer Luckey, the CEO from Anduril, wore the copper jacket that blocks radiation and stuff. So that's just kind of a piece of what they're building out. They basically, the whole idea behind them is it's a Aura ring for your entire body, where your jacket, your pants, everything is fully integrated with technology that's monitoring everything that's happening inside of your human system. And then the next phase of that is modulation. How do we hit it with the right lights, the right ultrasounds, the right technologies that can actually trigger real response inside of the body? Kind of, people are all excited about these med beds and things like that, but that's just kind of when you're inside of the bed. How do you build something that's 100% of the time monitoring you, modulating your system to be more optimal, and actually directly affecting what's going on inside of your biosphere? So like that stuff makes me super excited. And then we're also finding technologies through looking at space tech that enables new fields of medicine. So like something interesting there is medical radioisotopes. Are you guys familiar with radioisotopes at all?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, not really. I've heard the word,
no?
but like I don't know. I'm looking it up.
Yeah, so it's interesting stuff. Basically, nuclear reactors, they spin off these isotopes, which are these very unique molecules that aren't found in nature, for some of them specifically. And a few of them, like actinium-225, have been found to have some pretty incredible medical and oncology use cases, so cancer treatment. So like Mayo is doing a bunch of trials with these now, and really the problem they've had in the past is that you can't actually get enough supply to do real studies. You can't take it through FDA because you can only get a couple grams of these isotopes. So there's this team at Sandia that we've been looking at some technology with. They've been developing it for about 30 years, where you can basically take uranium waste from nuclear reactors, put it into a special mini reactor, and basically extract those isotopes with precision at scale. So you can now actually produce a bunch of actinium-225 and then do real FDA trials with it to understand the efficacy, safety, et cetera, and actually turn that into a product that people can use in the real world, not just kind of a couple billionaires that have access to pay and not worry about regulation. And then, beyond just the ones that have already been identified, once you can produce that specific isotope, you can focus in and produce a bunch more that have never actually been captured in a quantity that was usable. So you can run AI simulations on the back end and basically say, hey, these isotopes might be useful for all of these different use cases, create them using these microreactors, and then use that to open up a whole new field of medicine just based on kind of, those specific personalized pieces that were never really possible before. So stuff like that I love too. But a lot of health related tech.
So I mean, it sounds to me like, right, the need for medicine and health in an extreme environment like space has all kinds of real world applications, right? Which is, if you're trying to build for and research how to survive the most extreme, like obviously that would translate across the board into day to day. Curious, like, I mean, the way you describe the copper vest and like the kind of like the full body, you said med bed, I immediately think of like the Rife machine. Like, again, it takes me down like conspiracy, but there's so much about frequency alignment that I think is one of the missing pieces of health that I think is really unexplored. I'm curious, because I'm in this weird spot. I'm very distrustful of Big Brother surveillance, tech in general, and really since COVID, the medical establishment. Like it's really hard for me to have any faith at all in doctors across the board based on what I saw happen during all of COVID. On one hand, I see on AI the ability to process data universes that were previously impossible almost certainly leads to all kinds of wild medical breakthroughs that are going to radically transform how we treat certain things and really health in general. At the same time, how do we trust any of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's this weird dichotomy for me that like I'm distrustful of AI, but I see the potential. I'm not really sure how to balance that.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And really kind of my take on it personally is use data that you can actually control and, trust from that standpoint. Like I'm big on wearable tech and basically understanding your own AI twin and how you can basically build outcomes based on the feedback coming back to you directly. So like one company specifically is this company Rima Health, RIMA. It's run by Joseph Chandler. He's this savant genius, former NVIDIA, former Intel, that's basically building this thing from the ground up to try and save healthcare. Really is kind of his mission behind it. It's bundling all these different benefits together and puts it all in one sovereign data platform. So started out as a platform, you put in all of your data about yourself, your pharmaceutical, your wearable, link it in so it's got live data coming in, and then it goes out, sources all the data from all your different pharmaceutical, hospital, medical providers, puts it in one platform where you actually own your data, a blockchain, and all those things integrated, and then basically gives you the ability to bring that with you for every EHR, EMR, electric health record, electric medical record integration system in the US, and basically take your data with you. But then where it kind of went from there is they realized this is actually building true data sets on when you change a supplement in your system. How does this change you day to day on that side? Because it's integrated with your pharmaceuticals. When you add a pharmaceutical, take away a pharmaceutical, change your dose, you're actually getting live feedback day to day when that happens and understanding what it actually does to your system. So like the ability to take that data and take it into basically phase 4 FDA studies, which aren't done on active products in the market, and basically understand what's actually happening at a high level when you have enough users in there. So like Joe and Rima, they've got, I think it's like 20,000 active users right now. So they're getting a real database. By the time they're at a couple million, which will be like a year or two out, they're getting incredible phase 4 data across all these different pharmaceuticals, all these different supplements with live data coming back. And then you can use that to go basically put pressure on these pharmaceutical companies. These things are hurting people. You haven't identified that there's side effects by mixing this and this together, but we did through our system. So I think the solution is build your own data sets, build your own technology, and take that in yourself, and don't trust the regulators to actually do a good job.
Yeah, again, for me, again, it's a dual concern. Like one of the things I'm really interested in, maybe this is something that could happen in Uruguay, but one of the things that I think will be incredibly valuable in the future is original data sets. Because like to me,
Yeah.
I look at like censorship and manipulation that happens at a large scale. COVID's the example everybody remembers most, but we've been watching this kind of pattern emerge for a long time with media, et cetera, of like how you manipulate populations taking actions against their own self-interest. I think the manipulation in the future in the world of AI comes with manipulating the training data sets. And so like the preservation of original records, whether it's art and literature and history or science or math, I think protecting those things is something that like when we have the broader discussion about ethics and technology and AI, like the preservation of the original source data sets is something that is often overlooked. So like that's something else that like I'd like to see people take a more active role in, is like putting together the data sets and preserving what the real history is. Because I think that's how you're going to have to manipulate, like that's how they are going to manipulate like society in the future, is through like these subtle manipulations in the data sets. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's a very good point. And it's almost impossible to track too because of the way these models are trained. So, I mean, it's just almost becomes inherent in the platform without a way to track it back because they're grown and not coded at this point for the frontier models. So it's, yeah, you're definitely identifying a huge weak point in kind of the next phase of what's coming. I unfortunately don't have a solution there.
Well, we got build libraries. Like it's funny because
Hey, that's
all
fair.
the
That's actually a good idea. Just like libraries that are like privately owned, and then you can kind of like share them only with people that have good integrity and are using it on their own projects. Kind of like sandboxed, and then maybe other people can use them, but you still have like a backup library.
I'm convinced that power actually, the reason that places like DC with the Smithsonian and the Vatican accumulate powers because they accumulate knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. So like there's something almost magical about when you start accumulating knowledge, like there's a law of attraction that exists. So like you end up acquiring more knowledge as you go. But think about like the future value of original sourced data sets. I think will be astronomical. So it's like to me, I'm not at the coding level that like I'm gonna build my own AI or AI agent. I have done some cool agents, but like I could absolutely though like start putting together original source material in a way that later would prove like once the technology flattens and we get close, like there's some level of AGI, what becomes more important than like the code and tech and neural network that make up the AI is the data set that it's being trained on and like how complete it is. And like that, so the to me, the AI race, everybody's focused on energy and power, but knowledge and data sets and how it's inputted to me is the other piece that we're going to have like this Cold War space race on. It's going to define which agents are superior in the future based on what their training data sets are. That's kind of my thing.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I forget the statistic, but it's something like 60% of the data set for the last Claude model was AI created data, where it's basically creating its own crap because there's not enough data left in the world for it to actually process that isn't owned. So unique data sets is really the only thing that hasn't been commoditized within the AI world right now.
Well, and like with Rima and what, right? Like then the question becomes like, how do we protect privacy, right? Like, because history has shown us the reason that like privacy around health is so important is like kind of the eugenics of it all, which is like, how do we preserve our imperfections, right? While still like seeking the best outcomes. There's so many challenging, like, we almost need like a philosophical or ethical renaissance so that people start thinking about these issues more. The thing that scares me the most is like I hear the debates now and it just doesn't seem like we're touching on the key issue. Like there's a handful of people who've dug deep and everyone else is just like, oh, Terminator. We're gonna get Terminator.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd agree. It's a hard one to solve too. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. But
so, I mean, how do you stumble onto like? Because I actually have got to do this in countries. It's kind of like one of the coolest things ever. Is like you plop into a country and before you know it, like you're helping them like build what the future of the country looks like. Like how did you end up there, and then how do you balance like the local population and building them up and like protecting them from like bringing in all of these outside influences?
Yeah, great question. So I originally found Uruguay through actually the cannabis and cryptocurrency industries. I did some ventures in those in my younger days. And Uruguay was the first country in the world to actually federally legalize cannabis. So they kind of took a stand, made a jump first. And I originally started working with a group down there that was building a fund. It was a tokenized cannabis fund, 38 portfolio companies across 6 countries, all in the legal space, wrapped up to a security token in Luxembourg, recognized by the Luxembourg Stock Exchange. It was one of the first real world asset plays with a company portfolio underneath it. So I started as an advisor with them, helped them raise a bit of capital in the early days, and then helped them scale up, became a board member, kept advancing with them. And then that group was originally allocated this portion of land. Originally, the government wanted us to build a cannabis farm there. So we did that's when I came on as CEO. We brought in a bunch of partners like Big Oil Co., one of the largest extractors in California that does great work, and some other great partners to basically do a feasibility study, come out there a couple times, do site visits. And what we found was there is no international distribution market. There was nowhere to sell it to. So we could produce the best product in the world, but it would have been a waste of time and money because there was nowhere to distribute to. And Uruguay is just too small of a market with only being 3.5 million people there. So basically, then we took a step back and said, well, we can't build cannabis there because it doesn't make sense to, but we've got these amazing resources. We got this land from the government. They're helping us build all the infrastructure on site, an opportunity to do the tax-free zone. why don't we build a city? Was kind of the next thought. And then that led us to the world of data centers because we had energy access, great solar partners that wanted to come build for a great price. That expanded into the water when we saw that need emerge a couple of years ago within the country. And I'd always wanted to do housing on the lake. Like I want to have a little lake house there. It's a beautiful place. So that was part of that. And then one of our original partners on this is Enrique Topolansky. So he's been at the largest university in the country, ORT University, for 35 years now. He's their head of innovation. So he basically wanted to do a workforce development center, upskill those, reskill all the population, make sure that they can take all the jobs that we're creating. So it kind of came together pretty naturally from the team and just kind of looking from a, first principles feasibility standpoint, what would be the most optimal things to put in, pair it together, and build a cohesive landscape. So that's kind of where it's evolved over the past few years, and kind of how we've gotten to where we are today.
Oh, I love that. I also did a emerging markets canvas fund back in the day. So like good people in cannabis and crypto. Like it's a good mix of freedom loving.
I mean, sometimes. Yeah, it's like you're either really good or not so much. There's no middle ground whatsoever.
Oh man.
Yeah, some of my favorite and least favorite people.
I don't want to talk about other things. I just jumped on Uruguay because I think this is
it's interesting. It's really cool building there.
Yeah, and fun facts on Uruguay, just because not enough people know this about the country. So, one of the safest countries in South America, incredibly stable, great long-term foreign investment track record, 50 years back now, which doesn't exist in South America. So 3.5 million people. They produce enough food to feed over 30 million people, almost 4 times as many cows as people, incredible high-quality food. They don't season it, so you have to bring your own hot sauce, but that's about it. And then basically, it's also one of the top 10 countries in the world for software exports per capita. So incredibly well-educated, tech-forward society. They've given free computers and free internet at home to every child in the country since 2007. So they're all kind of self-taught entrepreneurs and just incredible people that have kind of built this society there. They're very proud of what they built. It was a country founded by Freemasons, just like the US, which I know Dustin would appreciate. So yeah, very unique place.
No, it sounds amazing. I would love to visit sometime. Good luck with I mean, honestly, that's the kind of thing that leaves a legacy too, which is to develop something like that, man. Congratulations on doing something that matters for sure. But Dan, I know you had some other stuff you wanted to talk with David too.
I mean, it all kind of goes together.
About the Uruguay stuff.
I think what's cool about, by the way, it's. I've heard you call it Uruguay. Is that how you pronounce it there? And then in the US, we call it Uruguay.
Yeah, if I say Uruguay, nobody knows what I'm talking about, so I say Uruguay. But yeah, in Spanish, it's Uruguay.
Yeah, it's like Porsche or Porsche.
Yeah,
it's the same thing, but it's just one is more right than the other. Mm-hmm. But then, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, when I speak English, I kind of flip back and forth.
David was one that mentioned about, because I was really familiar, at least, about the magnetism underneath the earth and why it's really good for people. And there's some areas where there's no forms of MS at all. There's no forms of certain autoimmune problems basically at all around the equator. That's kind of the case. And David was the one who mentioned there's areas where there's crystals underneath the ground. And for whatever reason, they kind of equate with some of these blue zones. So Uruguay is one of the healthy locations, or no?
No.
It's just good for, it's the healthiest for taxes and development. Okay.
Yeah, Santa Teresa, Costa Rica was what we were talking about there.
Wait. Do they have what's the I lost my train of thought.
What is it, health related or
no? If I wanted to flee the United States, do they have a treaty with the U.S. to come get me?
Oh,
extradition.
Yes, extradition. I couldn't come up with extradition. It's very embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm a very U.S. heavy person, so I wouldn't help with that. But there might be people down there that would. Is how I'll say it.
So maybe.
Yeah. We'll leave that as maybe.
There's a chance, Dustin.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the blue zones are something really incredible. Like, the healthiest places in the world where people are consistently living over 100 years old. Santa Teresa specifically is my favorite one. West coast of Costa Rica, this beautiful place. It's basically one dirt road down the middle of the town, beach, some of the best food in the world, but especially I would say the best food in Costa Rica. And the entire area is built on this really interesting crystal formation. So I enjoy kind of how all of that fits together. So I was there a few months ago for just about a week. One of my best friends has basically built a whole community there of just amazing people there. So it's like the second you step off the plane, you just feel healthy, feel good. Like I've got this old shoulder issue, and I just had this like gut feeling that if I just came there for a couple months, it would go away. So I'm going to be trying that at some point in the next year. But yeah, I love healthy places. I travel too much. I haven't been in the same place for more than 3.5 weeks straight in about 5 years, maybe 4 years. But it's been quite a while. So I'm like looking forward to settling down a little bit and getting some downtime there. I'll still work all day, but it'll be nice to like swim in the ocean every day and that kind of thing.
I had the
What?
wanderlust until like this is the longest stay like same spot period I've ever had in my whole life. So,
You got it. How long
Since
have you
when?
been there now?
oh,
Yeah.
since I left home at like 17.
But you've been where you are for like, when
Almost
did you and Dad move in?
4 or 5 years maybe.
Oh, okay.
No, it's been a while. I mean, part of it was I couldn't travel with the government coming after me and stuff.
Yeah, Dustin got debanked and had a lot of issues there. He used to put his phone in the microwave so he didn't be tracked.
But
Which,
there's
by the way,
Been there, yeah.
right like microwave.
David's
People
like,
realize microwave is a natural like Faraday. So like
Yep.
if you need to like Faraday your stuff in a hurry, microwaves a way to do it. There's a great excerpt in my congressional testimony where they're like, somebody said that why would you try to cook your cell phone? I'm just like, oh my God, like these are our electeds. And you guys are cheating. I'm like, oh, they taste better that way.
yeah,
Uh,
that's how I eat my iPhone.
is it Sarasota? Like they have the quartz crystal. I think Sedona is another, right? Like U.S. spots.
Yeah.
Like
Then like Sardinia in Italy, Okinawa in Japan. Yeah, there's a few of them.
I mean, again, to me, frequency and harmony are like the health things that are not taught or really well explained, but are like central. And everybody has an experience where there's a place that helps reset them in some way or another.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like the stuff coming out now with ultrasound is so interesting. Like basically, I love where science and woo woo meet. So like, I spent about a year working on a project. It's using ultrasound to stimulate the brain's lymphatic system to basically clear out the amyloid beta proteins, microplastics, and other waste that accumulates within your brain that causes Alzheimer's and all these other cognitive declines. And it was built by Sung-Shik Yu from Harvard Medical School. He's been a professor there for 35 years. If anyone ever wants to talk to him, let me know. I'm not involved in the project anymore, but I would love if the right support came his way. He's just like one of the smartest people in the world that's built amazing tech that like needs the right people. So just throwing that out to the world. If anyone ever wants to meet just an incredible ultrasound engineer, I'm more than happy to connect you directly with him. I don't want anything. I just want to help that succeed. But basically, he proved this effective in mice. He showed that you could stimulate the entire brain's lymphatic system at once using ultrasound, clear out amyloid beta, and fully maintain cognition for 6 months in a mouse, where you saw full decline in the other ones. It was Alzheimer's mice models, and did it all at Harvard. So it was done under the right standards of testing and everything, and really proved it under 2 different cognitive tests. And there was 0 decline at all for the one that was receiving the ultrasound treatment. So that still needs to be translated to human, but for things like this that are mechanical treatments instead of a small molecule, it actually translates pretty well. So like things like that are things I'm so excited about that haven't come to market yet, but are right on the verge of it. And in the next 5 years, we should see hitting, because you use ultrasound to clean your brain's lymphatic system, use it for your entire body's lymphatic system at the same time. Like you can activate your muscles using ultrasound, which is just sound waves. People love their sound bowls and things like that, but this is a way to actually be incredibly precise with it, prove it with science that it works, and validate the best pieces, and then integrate that into society. So like those translations are where I get really excited.
See, it's funny. I think ivermectin is kind of a psyop, and it's way over discussed, and the way it's sold to people as like a fix all for all this other stuff. So like I want to preface this, but I do think that like it's almost the same thing, which is I think because it's an anti-parasitic, it encourages the body to flush all kinds of other stuff
Yeah.
that fixes a lot of the stuff that we ail from are symptoms of something that's more root. I think that helps the body address it in a way that's not fully understood. But again, to go back to the Rife machines, like I'm convinced that that kind of frequency technology is the future of medicine, right? Which is Novate, like we're learning about like the biopsies that taken often help spread it because you're cutting it open, exposing it to flowing through the rest of the body. Non-evasive things like ultra, like that kind of stuff is so fast. Having the connect. So are those? Did you have those connections? Like, are they interested because Uruguay, like you're building this thing? Where
Oh, that was through Mark Atkins. So Mark Atkins is the chief of health for the Army Corps of Engineers for 9 years. He was the director of health for the whole Army before that. So he's a co-founder with me on a company, and he found that technology. He's been working with them for about a decade. Yeah, I do a lot of different things. Uruguay is kind of, one of my main, that's the only thing I'm still CEO of and kind of running full force. But I have a lot of different projects in different spaces.
I know how that goes. People just see you and they're like, oh, I could plug you into this thing. It's also the power of net, right, Dana?
Say it again. It's also the power of what?
Power of having a really good Rolodex and network.
Yeah, I mean, David's is outlandish. His Rolodex just keeps going. And then not only that, yeah, he just gets plugged in because David like absorbs knowledge really fast and then quickly is like, you meet this person and this other person and then brings them all together. Because he really cares. And like a lot of people don't really care. They're kind of about like what works for them. And David's unique because he just wants to kind of help people. And then he's also really interested in these like the future of tech, the future of health, which, yeah, it's like, it's just easy to get lost in what's best for me. The whole radiation or the Rife machine, that's where I got into like, I don't know about this. That's where like my line stopped. And I was like, listen, I just don't know if I can get on board. I do think there's something to do with, waves and all of that. But like, David, do you think it's possible to just target like a specific bacteria with the antidote of like the wave of whatever that is and then kill it?
I think it definitely could be. It's, not impossible. I think that like an interesting company that I'm looking at right now that is kind of like when you talk about targeting a specific disease and finding the thing that breaks it. So Seek Labs from Jared Bauer, he's the CEO. It's a really unique group. They basically sequenced every disease in existence, and then they can produce therapeutics that treat it with CRISPR within 24 to 48 hours. So every disease has its own sequence, and there is something that breaks that sequence. Could it be a form of frequency? Absolutely. Could it be something else? Absolutely. But if you're doing something specific that disrupts that sequence, it could definitely affect it and potentially, disrupt that bacteria or virus or whatever it is using some form of frequency. Is it understood and fully studied? No. But is there a plausibility there? I would say yes.
So the CRISPR thing's interesting because you're then like actually turning on and off maybe certain genes that are the downstream effect that's causing the damage of whatever that person is dealing with. But then the risk of that is that change then has another domino effect, which then causes another problem that maybe would never have been turned on in the first place. Then you can't like undo. Or do I not have this right? Is this just something where you can like turn it on and off like a light switch and then just see if they get better? And then they're like, okay, your CRISPR,
So there's two sides of it.
Done.
There's basically a CRISPR-based, and I am not a doctor. I only know so much about this, and I'm probably misspeaking.
Oh, you're not? I thought you were a doctor as well. Okay.
No,
that's
definitely
fine.
not. So basically, My understanding of this is basically, there's CRISPR-based treatments where you're basically using a CRISPR in a modulation to basically change something within your DNA and basically change how your body reacts to certain things. And then there's these CRISPR-based therapeutics that are basically just targeting the disease and shouldn't be affecting your body. It's just a specific therapeutic that attacks that disease. So that could be wrong, but that's my understanding of what they're doing. But I'm happy to connect anybody with Jared, the CEO over there, so that he can give them the actual answer. That is not my messed up interpretation of a coffee meeting.
I love that you didn't rule it out though. Like Dana's like, I don't know, the right machine crazies maybe too much. He's like, that's not out of the question.
Yeah, I mean, I love the world of plausibility because that's where the fun stuff comes out. And if you're not looking and trying these things that sound super out there, you're never going to find the actual solutions. Like one more real random technology, and if I rant too much, just stop me anytime. So Dr. Narosha Murugan, I had to pull up her last name, but she's developed this ridiculous technology that it's basically a new form of microscope that looks at your mitochondria's light signature. So every cell has mitochondria that's emitting a specific light signature. And by looking at that light signature, you can actually diagnose the health of that cell and the cells around it. So you can basically, when a cell has cancer, it changes colors is the easiest way to describe it. So she can look at it and without doing a biopsy, completely non-invasively, she can understand when it's at because basically to get to a biopsy, I'm probably misquoting these numbers as well, but it's something like you need 10,000 cells of actual cancer to be able to detect that it's there. It's like 50 to 100 with what she's doing. I think the numbers might be wrong, but the ratio is similar there. And yeah, completely light-based. So they're not just looking at how do you understand the light coming off of these different cells, but how do you actually hit it with a different light, kind of think red light therapy to the nth degree, where you're setting in very specific frequencies to hit that mitochondria and change that mitochondria's light signature, which can affect the health of that cell and then change the disease itself. So using light to actually directly manipulate cells through light signatures of the mitochondria and changing the mitochondria's basically structure. So like that type of technology now exists. Like she's proven she can detect cancer with it. She's proven she can modulate. There's so many more layers that need to be built past that, but that piece has been done. So we know there's a whole new field of medicine that's going to be emerging. So I'm big on frequency, sound-based frequency, light-based frequency. It's all going to be critical for the next phase of medicine.
Oh no, you mean the Oro people might have been right? Like that's a bridge too far for even me.
I think that's so amazing because if you do help the health of the mitochondria, which now you can only do it through like natural measures, and you can't even like measure your mitochondria, it's just too out there. If you can, then that means you can just, you can just allow your body to heal itself, and you can also track it. Where before it's like you're just tracking these biomarkers, and then you're kind of like assuming, oh, my mitochondria maybe got better, and you don't.
Isn't that the methylene blue?
Yeah, methylene blue. I used to sell that in like 2012.
Wait, does it actually work?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like methylene blue was used, it's still used today in hospitals to preserve your organs. When you're getting an organ transplant, then you utilize it in order for your body to, I guess, accept it, not reject it. But it's used in really high doses. And then in small doses, it's more of like a, scientific research sort of thing. Like I mostly just used it myself, but I dumped it on myself once and, got serotonin sickness. Then I had to go in the ice bath and recover from that for a few hours. But I would just give it to some of my friends or whatever in very tiny, tiny doses. The thing that I don't like about it is I think in too high doses, you can have like oxidative stress. So, I mean, David, do you think it works? I think it's a little overly promised. It's kind of like it kind of seems like an ivermectin thing to me, where it's like the effects are so small and the half-life is only 2 hours. So it's kind of like it's going to help some people, especially people of Alzheimer's that can't think very well, because it's going to give them, more of the blood flow to their brain. But then after that, David, would you agree with that or?
I only have kind of anecdotal stuff. I know a couple people that swear by it. Like one person used it to get over Lyme disease and says that it was the only thing that helped her. But it's very anecdotal, one-off. But Yeah, I honestly don't know enough to have an opinion on it, but I have seen it work for some people.
Yeah, it could be one of those things where it also just gives you more energy to then like do other stuff.
Yeah.
And like it does help you recover, but it's more like,
More placebo.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, hard to know. Yeah. But I know two people that swear by it, so I definitely can't say anything against it.
Wait, so I'm curious. I don't think I've asked Daniel this either. Ozempic, GLP-1s, definitely turning people into zombies. Like those are the people who end up eating brains, right?
I haven't even heard this theory. That's turning people into zombies and becoming
Yeah.
brain eaters?
The
So,
zombie apocalypse
yeah.
will be started by people who took Ozempic to lose weight.
I have heard some also anecdotal, not anything I would put my name behind, but I have heard some stories about people that have gotten some anger issues after starting doing it and had some behavioral changes that were very abrupt and dramatic and dangerous. But I think if it's helping people that are extremely overweight lose that weight, I'm for it. I think that the numbers of the side effects are quite low, and the health benefits it can bring are massive. Should people that are in good shape be on it? Absolutely not. But should people that are 300, 400, 500 pounds be using it to get to a weight where they can actually start looking at other treatments and do exercise and get a standard of living back? Absolutely.
I'm feeling attacked here.
What, Dustin? What'd you say?
So I'm feeling attacked here, my fat ass.
Dustin,
taking-
stop. You're not. He's talking like really overweight. If it's interesting you brought that question up because I had read that some people who take GLP-1s, it slows down your digestive tract, so you can be more at risk for pancreatitis. But also, it kind of like it kind of turns your body into a similar state where if you went to space and came back. And it's hard to reverse that. So like some people who go on GLP-1s and stop, their body is able to re-regulate and get back to a normal state. Their circadian rhythm works again and they're okay. Other people, not so much. And then the effects of that in 5-10 years are unclear. So I do think like the risks are a lot higher, especially for people who are like pretty in shape and like more normal versus like super obese, which they're diabetic and they have other problems. So might as well just take that and get better and then hope for none of the side effects.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video of the Russian astronauts criticizing the like fakeness of the Americans like getting out? There's a great video of like the Russian cosmonauts like watching. I don't want to say it was the Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, but like one of the more recent space launches. It's like, look at this guy. Like Mark Kelly, he's like walking upright. Like this is not how you come back from space. Like I couldn't even
like making fun of the astronauts that went to space, saying they never went to space.
Yeah, that we faked the whole thing.
David, do you think that we have been to space before?
I do. If you guys ever want to come to a launch, let me know.
Listen, I've been to the launches. I've also seen them bounce off the firmament. So, I'm like torn. I think there's some level we go to before we hit the firmament. But like,
Dustin, I don't even know what firmament means. Dustin, do you think we've ever been to space at all? Like ever?
I'm not sure.
How do you
Maybe
think Star
David will be the first.
I think depends on what your definition of space is, right?
Okay.
But I'm convinced that at some level there really is a firmament.
Can someone tell me what that is?
Like Starlink, for example, and a lot of what we consider space, maybe even the moon, right, are within the broader firmament, but the firmament is probably something that's real to some degree.
What is... So David would disagree with you on that, I'm guessing.
This is...
I also don't know what firmament is, I'll be honest.
Wait, what is it? Dustin, tell us what it is.
So it's very biblical. God parted the waters and installed the firmament. Essentially, look at it as like the giant dome that separates us from space.
Okay, so kind of when you
Is
leave...
God an alien? I'm sorry, I was going to a weird rabbit hole.
So what's interesting is that the firmament can be described like even kind of what we say as the ozone, for example, the or
Okay.
what's the belt that shields us from radiation?
I don't know the name of it, but I know what you're talking
You know
about.
what I'm talking about. Anyway, those things could be considered kind of like a firmament, like what protects the Earth from the rest of space. The question is, like, so one of the things that I've always been this again heavy, deep, crazy land stuff, but like as above, so below, right? Like I'm convinced that space is more liquid than like the idea that space is a full vacuum has just never sat correctly with me.
David.
I think there's a lot of scientific evidence that there it is. I'm just surrounded by NASA astronauts and PhD scientists that like work on these things and send things there and have been there themselves and have a very high level of confidence on what can be done out there and built the entire trajectory for how to get to Mars and launch the rovers and things like that. So I have a very strong belief in our space programs being valid. I think that a lot of things are represented in very favorable ways, and there's been a lot more failures than have been shown. But I'm quite confident we have been to
What happens
space.
when Elon cracks
Go
the
ahead.
firmament and we get the next like Noah flood, right? So
What
like
happens, what happens when Elon cracks what?
the conspiracy is that the Great Flood, right, the pre-Dryas Great Flood that of Noah, was actually because like caused by a crack in the firmament that caused like that's where all the additional water to flood the entire Earth came from.
I feel like I need to read up on this whole.
I will say that this is one that I started out as a full and complete skeptic. Like that is the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard in my life. And I actually hosted a debate between like a 30-year NASA engineer and one of my friends who was like full on firmament conspiracy anti-space person. And it was a bloodbath. Like this, so the NASA guy ended up getting so triggered, just like unable to answer so many of the different questions, like regarding different space missions and stuff. He ended up like swearing, quitting, and like blocking us all on social media forever. So now I'm like, maybe there is something to that. So I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he was just triggered because he was asking like crazy questions.
Hey, I will say I've never had a clearance. There's a lot of things I don't know and that they don't tell me.
It's undeniable that we're able to put satellites up. So like any logical theory would have to put the firmament like much further out, right? That a lot of what exists in what we call space will be inside of it. I don't know. It's one of those things that like I just distrust the government and everything they tell me so much. And space really would be one of those things that's like infinite budget. Like, oh, I'm going to go explore space. I need another $250,000,000,000. They're like, you could get away with it. But I will say this, like so much of our advanced technology, like kind of the cool stuff about what David's doing is like so many tech advances come from like the idea of exploring space that it's hard to imagine that we could be that lied to until you go through something like COVID, where you're like, well, I guess the whole medical establishment is totally fake and made up. So what else could they be lying about?
I think what's really disappointing is like we know more about space than we do about like the human brain. And then we're told like, oh no, doctors know everything about your health. And like, if we don't know, you're just a hypochondriac. And it's like, what are you talking about? We don't even know everything about space yet. And there's a lot of things that we're not able to know. And then you're telling me that, for sure, with 100% certainty, about these health things. So it doesn't make any sense. And then we're relying on like all the research done to protect the astronauts, which is going to like actually be, legitimate health information that doctors down here are going to be like, well, this is just made up. Radiation's fine. Little radiation, not going to kill you. And you're getting like tons of it over time. It's like degrading you with time. And, I'm sure, David, like the work you're doing, you'd be like, well, yeah, of course it's bad for you.
Yeah. No, I think it's all converging right now, which is so fun. And I think like we're really living in such a unique kind of moment where the convergence of AGI, alien tech being announced publicly, world power is shaking up for the first time in 100 years. It's all happening right now and over the next 5 years. So I'm just excited to see what happens. I'm gonna be in the arena poking things and making stuff happen, but it's gonna be quite the time. So I do have to run. I've got a dinner, but I just wanted to say how great this was. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for having me. And yeah, if I can ever help you with, let me know.
Yeah, no,
Thanks for coming, David. What did you say, Dustin?
No, I said just awesome to meet David. Great discussion, Matt.
Likewise, this was fun.
I really enjoyed this.
It was fun. Come back, David. There's so much to talk about. See, we can talk about anything.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't expect to go down these rabbit holes, but I like it.
David knows about everything, so we can just talk about whatever subjects we want. And then Dustin, you can bring up all of your. I have to research all these conspiracies now because I feel like I don't know what all of them are. But David, go to your dinner. Thank you so much. Please come back.
Yeah,
and yeah, we'll see you next Tuesday, everybody at 6.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks.
Bye, guys.